There are many reasons why someone wouldn't want to play a Xeno game, whether it be the image of the franchise itself, or straight up just not caring about Japanese RPGs in general. So what kind of Xeno game can break that boundary? Speak to all gamers. That title is Xenosaga Episode 3. Now look, I know what you're saying, I'm not starting 3 episodes deep into the Xeno universe. Hold up. We're not here for Shion, Lemegetan, or our holy Lord and Savior. No, we're here for something that has no story at all. Within the world of Xenosaga Episode 3, there is an arcade machine. Throughout this adventure, you can kick back, relax, and play some HaKox. For most, HaKox is just a fun distraction, but it became one of my favorite puzzle games of all time. Actually, I recently ranked it as my second favorite game from the developer, Monolith Soft, significantly higher than the game it's in, but also better than Xenoblade Chronicles. This is the best Xeno game, second only to Baten Kaitos. I think a lot of my love for HaKox comes from it embodying what I view as core strengths of Monolith Soft games and how it positions its puzzle elements in very digestible ways. This is a self-proclaimed surrealistic puzzle action title. I don't really know what that means, but an easy comparison point is that it's very much like Lemmings, a game where you direct a mass of vulnerable green-haired minions in hopes of keeping them alive. However, to say it's just a clone of that is underselling it. HaKox is a title that requires you to not only solve each level's puzzle, but also heavily relies on physically manipulating the characters on screen. Essentially, HaKox takes place in a computer world with paths and platforms made up of assembled cubes. Characters with 4 different colored indicators spawn at set points and begin moving forward automatically. If they bump into a wall or edge with nowhere to go, they'll turn around. Or if there is a path, they'll prioritize turning to the right. However, the danger comes when they approach a slope. Once they reach the bottom of one, they'll walk right off the edge, sometimes falling to another platform below, but most of the time walking into the endless void that results in their death.
I apologize! I'm not able to complete mission completed.
So the goal is to keep them alive and turn them into one of the score cubes on the stage. That cube can also be color-coded to designate that it's for a specific character. There are 2 primary ways of interacting with these characters. The first is through a series of colored blocks attached to 4 face buttons on the controller. These blocks, while set on a track and sometimes mapped to the same button, let you block, push, or bounce characters. You can even squish them, but that doesn't really help you. Either way, these blocks are the only way to directly impact their paths. The second major element the player controls is movement speed. Initially, this is presented as a time-saving mechanic, but it's actually a vital element to many other parts of this game. The default speed is walking, but that can be increased to a fast walk or a run. The most noticeable impact here is how far characters are flung after being launched, as different obstacles require different speeds to clear the gap or avoid overshooting platforms. Movement speed is also essential for comboing, where each character turned to a score cube will create a window of opportunity where turning in another will result in a combo. This is true even if they're turned in at different cubes. Actually creating these combos is fairly challenging, as all characters move at the same speed at the same time, so you're not able to change one tempos from another to catch them up. It's all about using the pushing, blocking, and jumping mechanics to change how they navigate that space, to reduce the gap between them. So physically interrupting someone's movement to change their path is how they eventually align. However, there's also a way to reduce the time it takes for someone to spawn to try to fit them into the combo as well. I'm not one for high score chasing, so comboing rarely matters to me in games, but it plays an essential role here with character stocks. Each stage includes a limited number of lives to complete it. Comboing increases the number you have to work with, so successfully doing this can give you a buffer for completing the stage. However, it's also required, as some stages start you with fewer lives than that they can be beaten with. But another important part of HaKox is how these characters exist in this world. While they seem like they're simply on the track, moving in one of 4 directions, there are occasionally times when you can see this isn't true. When they're jumping or being pushed around, timing matters, so launching someone at the end of a block will give them more distance than if you launched them the second they stepped on it. Because of these more nuanced elements, you can occasionally exploit them. If a jump pad is at the very end of a path, you can use it while a character is turning around to launch them at odd angles to different paths in the stage, potentially skipping large chunks of the level. Was the game designed with this in mind? It doesn't really seem like it, and honestly, most of the time, you'll probably do it on accident and die. Though I appreciate that it's there and available for advanced players who want to cut down their time on stages. Even outside of these more literal uses of the game's physics, I think the way characters react to your actions adds context to what you're doing. I often have trouble with puzzle games that have vague rule sets or long-term planning with their mechanics. That doesn't make them bad, I'm just not very compatible with them. Here, everything you do as the player feels like it has a direct impact at that moment, and the effects feel like they have logical, real-world impacts on how these characters are moved about. You're pushing and launching them while using physical interactions to manipulate their path to get them closer for a combo. Turning in 4 characters at once maybe doesn't have the satisfaction of clearing an entire board in a falling block puzzle game, but I think it excels in other ways, like having a lot of stage variety where each layout presents its own challenge, whether that be stacking, sorting, metering, pushing, launching, manipulating spawns, or any other combination of those elements. And how all these pieces cascade into each other is, I think, a big part of what reminds me of a lot of other Monolith Soft games, where there's a ladder of layers to the combat system, and how you interact with each of them is different, yet connected, and ultimately builds everything up to one final move in your combo, doing the most damage. And that physical aspect, in many ways, also feels almost monkey ballish in some ways, but where it's more about like player execution. And when you fail, it's very clear why you failed and how to fix it on your next attempt. Despite taking place within a computer simulation within another video game, the world feels very real. HaKox's biggest problem? You gotta play Xenosaga 3 to get to it, which look, the Xenosaga games are good, but it's still not a franchise I'd recommend to most people, if only because of the weird pacing likely caused by its troubled development. I say that as a 15-year-long Monolith Soft fan, but I know my opinion differs from many other people, so while you can get to HaKox within the first couple hours of playing Xenosaga Episode 3, you can't play most of the levels until near the finale of the game. I've got a complete save file from when I played it back in 2008 though, so I can HaKox any time of day. Most of you don't, so my hope that people will check this thing out is not super high. But if you are a bit more tech savvy, you can load up a complete save file from GameFAQs to your PS2, or maybe more reasonably into an emulator, especially given the prices of Xenosaga 3 these days. I'm hopeful that if one day we do eventually get some kind of Xenosaga HD collection, there will be some kind of dedicated HaKox option directly on the main menu. We probably won't get a dedicated HaKox button. I don't think anyone cares about giving us a dedicated HaKox button, but HaKox is a game that deserves it, which is why I'm here today. Join me and the Church of Jesus Christ to spread the good word of HaKox. Maybe Bandai Namco will hear our prayers.
Special thanks to Jillian, Fireweed, and Vink for supporting this video on Ko-fi. Also, thanks to Kargadin for doing the thumbnail art for this video, and maybe creating one of the only pieces of fan art for HaKox out there.